Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So it's Tuesday afternoon and Storm Kira is really kicking up a fuss outside. I can barely see across the road. It's so wet and windy with a little bit of snow thrown in. Yesterday I was kind of planning on filming this project, but things happened, day job stuff, so I didn't get a chance to do anything at all. We had to go and pick Mr. Bentley up from Grandma and Grandad's. So by the time I got back, it was about 2 o'clock-ish, and then, like I said, day job stuff had to happen, so I didn't actually get to sit down at all. But today, I've managed to do everything that I should have done yesterday, and then I've just got the time now to sit down and do this art journal page. It's in my volume of the dolls, so this is going to be page number 8. So trying a little bit of an experiment today. I've got some paper dolls that I've already taken out of my collection, and I've already pre-coloured them in the way that I showed you how to do it before with the Faber-Castell Pitt pens. So that was the one that I showed you how to do, but never ended up using him, so I'm using him today. So I've gone ahead and I've done this chappie, this lady, and some of the youngsters. So I'm going to be using those. So they're all coloured up. So we're going to be using tinted ones. But the experiment was this. This is one of my brick textures from my my Brick Textures Digi download set. And I wanted to print this off in a way that I wanted to put some bricks in the background, but I didn't want them to be too heavy, so I had a go to see whether or not I could actually print them directly onto Dina Wakley's collage paper. So what I did was I stuck the collage paper down with masking tape onto a piece of printer paper, and look, I've just fed it through the printer as matte photo paper, and lo and behold, it has actually printed the brick onto the collage paper, which is just phenomenal. So I've actually created my own printed tissue paper. So it works. The trick to doing it, I've found, is to make sure that you put your collage paper far enough away from the bottom of the card for it to pull through on the rollers. Because if your collage paper gets too close to the edge and the rollers grab it, it tends to rip and pull. So the trick is to push it further back onto the page, or stick it down further back onto the page. There's at least, what, 1 3/4 inches there of space. So it's pulled it in and then printed, and I've positioned the print further down the page so it catches it all. The only thing, obviously, it just goes over the edge. It rared, which is absolutely brilliant. There's a little bit of catchment on the print heads, but that's fine. It's a grungy page anyway. So this, I hope, is going to work in exactly the way that I wanted it to. So what I want to do is just to kind of tear that into 2 panels. I suppose I could have, if I'd have thought about it more in advance. It's actually printed it, brought it into Photoshop or whatever photo manipulation software, and actually printed 2 halves. But it's okay, because that's pretty much what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead now with some matte medium. In this case, it's going to be the remnants of my matte medium, the Slap It On from Indigo Blue. I've just got little clips on the corners of my page just to hold it down a little bit, and then I'm just going to daub a load of that matte medium down onto the page like so. Probably put far too much on, but I said that last time, I think, and ended up having to put extra on. So there's the tissue, and then I shall lay that just kind of in the middle And because I've used my Epson printer, obviously, those of you that follow me regularly would know that the ink that my Epson printer uses, although it's an inkjet printer, it is actually permanent when it's dry. And look, there's a little bit of excess coming off where it's caught and it's not quite dried yet, but once it is dry, it's on, and it's on there permanently now. That's gone right through now, so you can start to see the actual words from the book pages underneath showing through, which is kind of what I was hoping for, to get that kind of extra layer in that background. Yeah, there probably is far too much there. Let me daub that over there for a second. You never know whether it's going to be enough or too much or not enough. So we're probably going to get a little bit of ink leakage on this one as well, but yeah, that's okay. And I'm not being too bothered about getting wrinkles and crinkles in it either. There we go. Okay, so what I'll do is I will give that a thorough drying, or should I actually start building in some of my bits at the bottom that I want to add in? I've got some, at the weekend I bought something from a stand at the Steampunk event, and it came in this fantastic purple stripy paper bag. And rather than throw it away, I thought I'm going to use that. I'm going to use a bit of that. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of collage with that, just over the top. Just a bit at the bottom there, and then a bit more over here. See, but that's gone through as well. Now whether that goes opaque again, I don't know. I don't know the nature of the paper bag until I use it, if that makes sense. Until you've used the material, you don't know how it's going to react to the glues or getting wet or whatever. Okay, that'll do for now. I'll drop that brush into some water, get my heat gun, get these pages dry. Now because I've used matte medium, I'm hoping obviously that there'll be no shine when we're done. The only time will tell. Okay, that's pretty much dry now, so I'm just going to lift it up just to show you what effect that I've got. If you can see the collage tissue paper now, the words are on the page are actually starting to show through. So you've got that extra depth and texture in the background. Can you see where all the words are starting to show through that tissue paper? Which gives it a really nice kind of feel to it. So now we've got that, obviously it's looking a bit stark at the moment. There's not a lot of real kind of blending and gradient going in there. So what I want to do is just grab some white gesso, and I'm going to just start to add some gesso. Just blow those little flakes off. Just down the insides of the page. And then just lightly bring that in from the outside into the page, and then start from the outside and work my way into the page. Just start to blend that all together. it's a little bit too heavy, it's okay, just rub it with your finger, or you grab a wet wipe and just wipe it away. Because you've added that matte medium onto it, you will have some play with it. Let's grab a quick wet wipe and I'll show you what I mean. See how easy it is just to blend it. It just gives us a little bit more kind of uniformity. Still see all the lettering showing through. A little bit darker on the edges. I said darker, a little bit whiter. You know what I mean. More opaque is what I'm trying to say, I think. Those are the worms I'm searching for. Okay, I think that will do. That will do for now. So let me get that dried off again and then I'll be back. Okay, so that is pretty much dry. It's a bit too stark, so I do want to add a little bit darker elements just down the outsides and around the bottom part here. I'm not too bothered about the top actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some of my Americana Deco Art paint, and this is the honey brown. I've picked this colour because it's kind of reminiscent to the brick colour. That's the only reason. And I'm just going to drop some just down the edge and down the bottom. And rather than use a paintbrush, I'm going to use my finger just to kind of blend everything in. Probably used a little bit too much there, but never mind. It's looking like a little bit of a mess, but I'm not worried about it. Because as I got wet wipes, and I can start lifting it off if I've just happened to have got a little bit too much. But also it does help just to blend it. Let's get rid of that clip. That's better. Wet wipes are our friend. I managed to get some on the page underneath. But that's okay. Page protector would have been good, but there you go. So where that white paint was, it's now started to kind of get a bit vintagey, if that's a word. I'm sure it is, and if it isn't, I've just made it up. So we've got that nice kind of old page stain kind of colour. And the white's kind of disappeared and been replaced with a different colour. And if I think that might be a little bit too light, I can always just add a bit more paint on it. Again, put it on, take it off, keep on going until you think you're pretty much there, and I think I'm pretty much there with that. Of course, I've got it all over my fingers now. There. That'll do. Alright, so once again, get it dry. Okay, so next up I want to start bringing in some elements to start gluing down. So rather than sticking down my paper dolls straight away, I want to just introduce a couple of little elements into the page just to give it a little bit of balance. So those are our characters that we're going to include on the page, but I've got a few little pieces of ephemera that I just want to add into the background, kind of like behind Grandad. Let's just say about there, and then maybe another piece just like that. And then we can add maybe another piece. Maybe like that. And then over here, do the same thing. Maybe like that. And then put that like that. I think that's going to work kind of nice. Don't worry about this purple at the bottom just yet. I think that's going to work to our advantage, so I'll just remove those and just get rid of Grandad, and then let's bring the glue in and stick that one down. It's about there, wasn't it? And while this is still wet, I can manoeuvre the pieces. That's about right. They don't necessarily have to all be on the same level, or one can be stood behind the other, so that's quite useful. Just audition them on the page. I love using that word. Audition them on the page. It's such a good way of describing it. And remember, I'm using PVA, just white PVA for this, but it does disappear completely. It goes clear when it's dry. So if any of it sticks out, don't worry too much. But if you use the glue of your choice, then you'll know how that reacts anyway. Okay, so now we've got my laddie chappy there. Pretty much the right position. We can get our glue, and he can go where I want him to. Like I said, I'm not worried if any of the glue spills out, because it will go transparent and disappear. So then we can take her, so I'm naming him Harry. Just because that's the name of my granddad, and he had a hat like that. And I'm going to call this one, I'm going to call her, let's just shuffle him along a little bit. I'm going to call her Lillian. I need something to hold the feet down, but that's fine. And then the two girls, be careful on the feet there. I might actually not add any glue on the feet at all. Just a little bit on there. Maybe just a little bit. I've got to hold it somewhere, haven't I? That should do us. And then they can go there, making a nice kind of little family grouping. Although they're probably not related. Well, probably not. Chances are that they're not related. In fact, they're probably older than they are. Depending on the age of the photographs that they were taken from, but hey ho. Okay, so I'm going to stick these lot down in place, and then we can work around those. I'm not even sure what that is. What's it say? Returned registered letter receipt. Very good. Return to sender. So, putting Grandad there, weren't we? Grandpa. And then the report card from St Mary's High School. Okay. Stick that up there a little. And we wanted to bring, so he's got to go down there, hasn't he? I want the word trust to be just above his head, in that cluster about there. So that should do us about there. I've just dropped some glue on the carpet, that's not good. Brand new carpet, brand new house. It's a good job Ian's not in, isn't it? What he doesn't know won't hurt him. I've got it cleared up anyway. It was only a tiny little bit. I was able to scoop it up with my finger. So no harm done. Okay, so let's get Grandpa down. I think this is the longest part of doing journal pages like this. It's when you're having to glue everything down. This glue's running out too. Come on. Let's get the dregs out. Get our money's worth. So you have to come down there, don't you? And then I can put Grandpa's hand on his shoulder. They're all lifting off, look. I need to get something heavy on that. Something heavy, just to hold the feet down for the time being. And then we could just put a little bit of glue just on baby Joseph here. That's what I've called him. Just popped into my head. So okay. So I need to give those a few minutes to kind of hold and settle, to get something heavy to stand on there and something heavy just to hold Grandad's feet down. So we'll do that and then I'll be back when they've grabbed and held on a little. And I can now throw that in the bin because I've got a new one. Okay, so I think everything's pretty much had a chance just to stick down now. It hasn't been that long, it's been about a quarter of an hour. But I think it's dry enough for me to work on. So I'm just going to create a little bit of grounding underneath my character's feet. And I'm just using a Stabilo All pencil just to create a little bit of shadow. And I think I've got some water in my pen. So just get it coming through. There we go. And then I can just activate that just down at the bottom and then push it just away from the feet and down towards the bottom of the page. And that just adds in a little bit more kind of dimension. Like that. Oh, there goes the lid. So a bit of a darker bottom. This is why I wasn't too worried about this stripy bit, but it gives it just that little bit of grounding. If I'm not happy with it, it doesn't matter. I can always dry it off and then add or take some away because it is water reactive again afterwards. So we'll just get that dry so you can see exactly what I mean. Okay, so maybe just a tad more just to define, because it has died back quite a bit actually. So let me just, that's more like it, a bit more controlled. A little bit more shadow just under the feet. It's disappearing into that page quite quickly, isn't it? It's disappearing into the paper underneath. But that's okay. Make that a bit darker down there. And you can play about to your heart's content really, getting it as dark as you want down here. But if you're not quite happy with it, then you can always just reanimate it again. Reactivate. I don't think I was working with dead bodies. Yeah, you can just reactivate it and move it along. Just keep on going until you're happy. Now, I'm fairly happy with that there at the bottom, but I still want to add a couple more extra things. Right, so that bottom part of the page is fairly dry now, but I want to create a kind of frame because it's darker down here. I want to create a darker kind of frame at the top as well. So I'm just going to bring in a page protector. And I've got some ground espresso archival ink, and I'm just going to create a little bit of a darker frame just by bringing in that darker colour just around the edge. Just kind of helps to get a bit more of a vintagey vibe. Spin that round. And if I don't think it's dark enough, I may come back in with some black soot just to really give it some grunge. Now you may have noticed I've not actually used any stencils or anything for the background on this page, which is, which is fine. You don't have to use stencils every single time. There's no law that says you have to. Because I've got that texture from the brick tissue paper in the background, it doesn't really need anything else. But I do think maybe that we could do with that being a little bit darker. It's just telling me it wants to be a bit darker. So let's get the black soot. Yes, I have got a black one. So let's just see how juicy this is, because I've not used it for quite some time, and these do have a tendency to dry up. That's better. Just a little bit of darkness. Yeah, you can see how that's looking a bit better. More in keeping with what I wanted anyway. And like I said before, excuse the knocking noise in the background, it's a loose bookshelf that I've just got sat on top of the desk next to me. Every time I'm jiggling the table, it's wobbling. Okay, that's it for the border. I'm not going to add any scribbles or doodles like I sometimes do. I'm going to leave that border as it is. I think it's dark enough where it is, but I do want to add a little bit more text to it, a little bit more verbiage, if you like. So let's just weigh that, or click that back down again so it's not going to curl too much. Just on that side it needs it. Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. Not liking the shine, but I can always come back later and add a coat of clear gesso when everything is completely dry. But for the time being, I want to add some wordage. So I've got the word family. I've also got the word friendship. And I've also got the word happiness. Like that. But I've also, from one of the other Tim Holtzy sets, got the phrase focus on what's important. So I've got that ink blending tool. So all I'm going to do is just go over with a little bit of grunge. Whoop, there goes the word family. I just flipped up onto the carpet. There we go. And we'll just give that a little bit of a grungy, just to kind of keep it in theme. Love these non-stick mats, great. So wire, we've got the bottom of that. So focus on what's important. And then on this side we'll add the word family, happiness, and then down here with the girls we'll put the word friendship. So there's actually quite a lot going off there. So you've got focus what's important, you've got the word trust, family, happiness, hope and friendship. I think that is just about what I was looking to do. Now I just want to add a little bit of a black pop under there, so I'm just going to just go around just very carefully. Well, not too carefully. Just to help it pop a little bit. And this, if you're wondering, is a it's a Signo Uniball gel grip pen. Just a bog standard one you can pick up from any kind of stationery store. I think I picked this one up from my local supermarket. It doesn't have to be a specific craft one, but with it being gel, it pretty much writes on most things, and it's a real nice fine point. There we go. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's one of my better volume of the Dolls pages, but that's just me. So I forgot to sign and date it, didn't I? So we'll do it just here at the side, I think. And what date is it today? It's the 10th, I think. So 10 to 20. That's it. So that's page number 8 in my volume of the Dolls, now complete. And this one I think we will just call Focus on What's Important, I think. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create that. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon, and I probably will go back later with that clear gesso when everything's dry to get rid of that shine, but just not right now. That's all from me. I'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.